Hi everyone. This video is to help support your work for Tuesday, March 17th. The text that you have been given is design par excellence, so I recommend watching this video if you felt overwhelmed because of the amount of words that you didn't know in that article. This video is going to be focusing on deciding when you should be working to decode and use context clues and when the word just isn't worth it. So, as we know, standard 4 is focusing on vocab. We have practiced the skill of finding out vocab definitions based on context clues. But here on this slide is again breaking it down. First, you need to be annotating. Every single person should be annotating these texts. Common Lit gives you that capability. You need to be doing it. So specifically for this text, I recommend annotating unfamiliar words by circling or highlighting. It will really help with you figuring out what words are worth trying to figure out and what words just aren't as necessary. Then you need to be rereading the sentence and paragraph and decide, is this word worth it or not? The way that I think about this is if I've read the whole paragraph and I can pretty much say what it's talking about, even though I don't know what one of the words is, then I should keep going. But if that word comes up several different times, or it feels like it's the key to understanding the entire paragraph, then I know that I really need to pay attention and figure out what that word means. Step 3. If you know that that word is important, you need to look at the sentences before and after for clues to help you understand what the word may mean. This is the same thing we do in class. So what this might look like is finding words that you do understand that give you a certain feeling or emotion, or help you understand is something being built or is something being given, or whatever that is, right? We're going to go through an example in a little bit, but you're looking for clue words, words that you understand that can help you figure out what the word is that you don't understand. Then the 4th step is find a synonym or a word that you can replace with the unknown word in order to help you understand what the text means so that you can keep reading and keep annotating. Remember, this skill is to help you finish a text and feel good about knowing what it's about. If you can't do that, then we need to practice this skill more. Let's go through an example. Let's practice. So I'm going to read this text out loud. It may be small. I hope that you can zoom in on it and it's not too fuzzy. I will also be sharing these slides, so know that you will have access to this. This is from a text that we've done in class. It's the portion about the Antarctic life and how it can tell us about outer space, okay? So the section reads, Signs of Life. In addition to Lake Voskhod, just because I don't know how to pronounce it doesn't mean that it's always a big deal, scientists found a huge system of rivers and almost 400 lakes hidden below the Antarctic ice. This could be the largest wetland in the world, as much as 1.5 times the size of the United States. While some scientists mapped out these hidden lakes on Earth, others were discovering ice-covered environments elsewhere in the solar system. During the 1990s, the Galileo spacecraft flew by the planet Jupiter and its moons. It sent back photographs suggesting that an ocean exists below the surface of the ice-covered moon called Europa. Okay, let's pause there. If I'm being a good annotating and a strong reader, then I need to be doing my reading practices, which means I should be annotating. Now, for me, there weren't any words that I didn't know, but potentially suggesting might have been a word that I wasn't sure about. What else? Maybe what a wetland is. We might be able to assume wetland, wet land, right? If we're going to go with the literal definition there, that might be okay. And then I might want to just make a note, right? Strong annotators are always gisting. So, excuse me, because my handwriting is about to be terrible. But what we're gisting in these first 2 paragraphs is just talking about how Antarctica Oh, this is going to take forever. Antarctica. So A, ice. Hold on. I have a better way of doing this. I can create a text box. We're figuring it out together. So I'll create a text box. I'll type in that text box and I will say Antarctic ice. Awesome scientist mapped. Could be huge wetland. Also, ocean under surf ice on Jupiter's moon. So this is just my quick way of gisting these two paragraphs, right? Just a little sentence. I kept it big text so that you could read it. Let's keep going. As time went on, more research provided new possibilities. Other moons of Jupiter and Saturn seemed to be the worlds where thick icy shells surround large bodies of liquid water. Could life exist in such an extreme environment? It certainly seems unlikely. As with the discovery of Lake Vostok, we're getting better at that, the clues for scientists seeking life pointed in unlikely directions. Most life on Earth depends on sunlight. How could sunlight penetrate an ice covered thousands of feet deep? Okay, so if I was a student, I would be like, what does penetrate mean in this context? I don't know how that connects to ice. Ooh, my highlighter is a little bit different color, but that's okay. It's a little bit green. Okay, let's keep going. Living things also depend on nutrients to grow. Okay, I don't know if I know what nutrients means in this context. Where would these come from? Scientists wondered how nutrients could enter a system that had been cut off from the world for millions of years. What's more, they knew that any kind of life in this extreme environment would have to survive tons and tons of pressure from the ice above. Okay, so let's pause there. We don't know what these two words mean in this context. We may know what these words mean in other contexts, but we don't know anything about ice in the Antarctic or in the outer space. So let's figure out which one is worth us spending our time on. So we have to go back. How could sunlight penetrate an ice covered thousands of feet deep? So if it's saying thousands of feet deep, and it's sunlight, so sunlight happens on the top, something deep, so to get down to, right? So we can guess that quickly. But living things also depend on nutrients to grow. And then they talk about nutrients again. So even if I didn't understand penetrate, right, we could talk about nutrients because that seems pretty important. I see it one, let's see, I see it two, I see it three, we haven't even read down here yet, right? I see it at least 3 times. That is a huge key for me that nutrients needs to be a priority. So I'm going to go here and we're going to create a box and we're going to talk about how do we figure out what nutrients means. So we have to go back. So we start from line 10 right here. Could life exist in such an extreme environment? It certainly seems unlikely. As with the discovery of Lake Vostok, close? I don't know if that's right though. That's okay. The clues for scientists seeking the life pointed in unlikely directions. Most of life on Earth depends on sunlight. Okay, so this is an important sentence. I'm going to underline this in a light blue, mostly because I like light blue. Most life on Earth depends on sunlight. Okay, let's keep going. How could sunlight penetrate an ice covered thousands of feet deep? Living things also depend on nutrients to grow. So it's saying they depend on sunlight and they depend on nutrients. Well, if we think about things that we know that are living, like a plant, right? That's a good example. What does it need? It needs sunlight, which they talk about, and it needs some sort of food, right? So then I would go to my text box and I would go, okay, let's try nutrients means food, right? And we can go like this, and we can try replacing food and seeing if it makes sense. Living things also depend on food to grow. That makes sense. Where would these come from? Scientists wondered how food could enter a system that has been cut off from the world above for millions of years. Also makes sense. What's more, they knew that any kind of life in this extreme environment would have to survive tons and tons of pressure from the ice above. That makes sense in both these contexts. Let's read this next sentence at line 11 to double check us. Yet in the deep ocean, some life forms exist without sunlight. Their nutrients, or their food, comes from the chemicals that rise up through the ocean floor from deep inside the earth. That still makes sense, which means that we can replace this question mark with a period. And we have now figured out what that context clue is. I hope that this skill is easily applied and you can practice it today when you're reading Design Par Excellence. If you have further questions, please meet up at the ELA meetup at 9 a.m. I know it's early, but it's worth it. Your education should be a priority. Take care.